Are you in your Sarah era? Sarah's story is an example of how the Most High keeps his promises. Now, if you don't know who Sarah is the wife of Abraham. And the Most High comes to Abraham in a vision, letting him know that you're going to pretty much have as many children as the amount of stars in the sky. Now, Abraham and Sarah are pretty up there in age, so it's kind of a hard concept to believe. So at this point, Sarah's unable to have children, so she decides to take matters into her own hand. She has a servant named Hagar, and she goes to her husband and proposes this idea. You should marry Hagar, and we can obtain children through her. Abraham agrees, and guess what? Hagar conceives. But after Hagar gets pregnant, she starts looking down on your girl Sarah, and Sarah is furious and starts treating her harshly to the point where Hagar just ends up running away for the time being. Now, how often do we do that, where we're waiting on the promises of the Most High and we decide to take matters into our own hands, and it doesn't work out the way that we want it to? Now, some people say that Sarah ended up getting jealous because Hagar got pregnant. And how many of us does the same thing, where we see other people achieving our wants and our desires, and we start to think, that's not fair. How come it hasn't happened for me? Or how come it hasn't happened for me yet? That's because it wasn't our time yet. Now, eventually, Sarah ends up having a child at 90 years old. Sometimes the Most High doesn't give us what we want, when we want, for various reasons. Sometimes we're not ready for it yet, and he has to prepare us for it, prepare us on how to handle that thing, that desire that we want. Sometimes he's developing us, and he's using that situation to help us grow in an area where we are weak. Sometimes he creates this crazy scenario where we know that only he is able to do it, so that he will be magnified in the end, and that we will have a story to tell many, many, many people of his goodness. So if this is you, I just encourage you to keep the faith. Yes, it might not be happening when you want, but it is for a reason. And just because we see other people gaining that thing that we desire so much, we do not know their story. I mean, even if Sarah was jealous of Hagar, Hagar had some pretty rough experiences. I mean, she was an Egyptian slave, and she ended up being casted out into the desert, or into the wilderness, ended up returning, and then ended up being casted out again. Granted, her children was blessed and continued to be blessed, but we just never know the stories or the journey that the other people that we see achieving what we want have been through in order to have that. So I just encourage you to stay strong and keep praying, and it will happen, because what is for you will happen for you. Don't give up. It is not your time yet, but keep the faith, because his timing is perfect timing.